How cognitive reframing can transform relationships. Have you ever been in a situation where a small argument with someone you love suddenly seemed to blow out of proportion? Maybe a poorly chosen word or a tone that came across harsher than you intended, and suddenly you're in the middle of a deep emotional conflict. What if I told you there's a simple yet powerful way to change that dynamic? Well, that tool exists, and it's called cognitive reframing. What is cognitive reframing? Cognitive reframing is a psychological technique that involves changing the way you perceive a situation. Instead of automatically reacting based on your first emotional response, you learn to reinterpret events in a way that promotes a more balanced and positive understanding. When applied to relationships, it can completely transform how you handle conflicts and misunderstandings. Why is our initial perception often wrong? Our brain often operates based on old patterns like emotional defense mechanisms or past experiences. A distant look can be perceived as disinterest, a raised voice as aggression, even when that wasn't the intention. This happens because the human brain is wired to seek out patterns, and under stress, it can easily misinterpret signals. How can cognitive reframing help transform conflicts? Imagine that during an argument, instead of reacting instantly, you pause and ask yourself, "Am I understanding this situation correctly? What else could be going on here?" That's the first step in cognitive reframing. By questioning your initial reaction, you create space for new interpretations. Maybe your partner isn't ignoring you, but is simply distracted by work concerns. The neuroscience behind cognitive reframing. From a neuroscience perspective, cognitive reframing activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logical reasoning and emotional regulation. When you pause and reconsider the situation, you're essentially training your brain to respond more consciously and less reactively. This practice not only improves your relationships, but also strengthens your neural connections, making it easier to repeat this skill in the future. Practical examples of cognitive reframing in relationships. A common example can be seen in parent-child relationships. A parent might interpret their child's behavior as defiance, but through cognitive reframing, they might realize that the child is simply acting out of exhaustion or frustration with something else. By changing their interpretation, the parent responds with patience instead of anger, and the connection between them grows stronger. How to practice cognitive reframing. You can start practicing cognitive reframing right now. The next time you feel hurt or frustrated with someone, try these steps. 1. Pause before reacting, stop, and take a deep breath. 2. Question your interpretation. Ask yourself if there's another way to see the situation. 3. Consider the other person's perspective. What could your partner or friend be going through that you haven't considered yet? 4. Reframe the situation. Instead of thinking, "They ignored me," think, "They're probably distracted or overwhelmed by work." Transforming relationships one thought at a time. Applying cognitive reframing may seem like a small adjustment, but the impact can be profound. This simple technique can turn misunderstandings into opportunities for growth and mutual understanding. By changing your perspective, you also change how you connect with those around you. And believe me, this can be the key to healthier and happier relationships. Are you ready to change the way you view things and improve your relationships? Start practicing cognitive reframing today, and turn your conflicts into deeper understanding. If you enjoyed this content and want to learn more about transforming your relationships and strengthening your mind, don't forget to subscribe to the Good Brain channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll discover how behavioral science can transform your personal and professional life.